Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And we're now in week 7 of our Handmade Christmas and ideas for you which are cost effective and not using too many supplies. So I thought this week we would do all about special cards, fancy cards, cards that we want to send to special people. So we don't necessarily post them. It doesn't matter about the layers and things because they are special ones. So what I'm doing with all of the ones this week is they are going to take one sheet of cardstock. So whatever size yours is, mine is A4, and you're just going to score it in half and fold it in half. It means we can then do it either as a landscape this way, or we can do it as a portrait, but it's a large size card, so we've got a lot of surface area to fill, which then makes us get a little bit concerned. So I have got a piece of cardstock which doesn't fit perfectly, but that doesn't matter because we are going to be doing layers and pieces. So if you haven't got a piece that fits completely, it doesn't matter. So this piece is about an inch, half an inch too short. It's the right length, but it's half an inch too short, but that's fine. So what I need to do is I need to find something to fill this space. So I'm using scraps. So I have got a piece of old designer series paper because we're using up what we've got. And that is the length of this. So that is the length of your cardstock. And I've given 1/4 of an inch all the way round on the two sides. So that's one piece. So this is going to be put down here with 1/4 of an inch border first of all. So let's get some glue and we can start putting some of these pieces in, because again it's using what we've got but tying everything in together. So I had a tiny little bit of this old designer series paper. Don't ask me how long I've had it and what year it was, because I'm just going through using all my little scraps. Now if you find it difficult to line things up, do it from the bottom, and what we want to do is we want to give 1/4 of an inch border in here. Okay, so I've got 1/4 of an inch border and I've just put that strip down. Okay, now I can put this down. So I want to make sure that I've got 1/4 of an inch around here. Now normally I would cut things out of this. I don't think I need to this time, although I will take, I'm using punches. So I've got, this is the old sprig punch, and this is the new bough punch. So we're using leaves and things. This was my favourite. I really like this one. Great for doing antlers as well. But this one's okay as well. So I'm just going to take out of here. I need to be aware that, in fact, I'm not going to do it on this one. And I'll tell you why, because we're using quite a bit of the back of this and I don't want to confuse you by taking out a piece and then it not being exactly right. So this is our piece that we're going to put down on here. And again, you can use whatever colours you want. I'm making Christmas, so I'm doing this one in reds and greens, and I want to make sure that I have got 1/4 of an inch border around here, like that. Okay, so we now have a little bit of a seam. So I have got a tiny little strip of gold. And this is something that I'm using on a card later on in the week, and that's just going to go across that little join and give a little bit of gold. And again, we've got quite a lot of different gold coloured foil paper. You can use glimmer paper, you can use whatever you want. You're just going to take it so that you've got a little bit of a border and you've got this so that it just comes in over the edge. Okay, so you've then got that. Okay, so that's given us the equidistance on here just by filling in this piece on here. Now we're going to use scraps, and it really doesn't matter what scraps you've got. Mat them, and again, because I'm using a white card base, and white we have a lot of, so we tend to have more of that to be able to spare. And so I've just done, and it doesn't matter at all on their sizes. You can see they're completely different sizes, but I want them to come across the card. So choose whatever you want, choose whatever. I'm trying to pick up little bits of colour that I've got. I've only got one piece of this. I had just a couple of little pieces of that, not a lot. So I'm just using what I've got. So these pieces are going to be stuck down. So we'll take each piece at a time. And my mats are 1/4 of an inch. Entirely down to you whether you want to do 1/4 of an inch or you want to do 1/8 of an inch. We all have our own preferences. I've always been 1/4 of an inch. So this is going to come down, and I'm just leaving just a little bit of a gap in here, like that. So you've then got the layers coming on. Then I'm going to use this bigger piece, and I'm going to put this across on here. So again, I'm just putting it, doesn't matter the spaces. All I'm trying to do is to make sure that my distance from here to here is equal. And then this one, I want to have this distance here to be 1/4 of an inch. So I can then put that on. And that's why when you're using scraps and they're different sizes, it's quite easy to just pop them across. And you are then making quite a fanciful card, but you're using up scraps that you've got. So this I want to have with 1/4 of an inch on here, and about the same distance. I'm eyeballing it between the top and the bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanted it to be rough. Okay, so that has given us our layers to the front of our card. Now what I've done is I have taken this gold piece, this little strip that I had over, and I've taken another little bit that I had, and I've done a mat to go across, and that's got a sentiment on, a Merry Christmas. You can put whatever sentiment you want on. You want a big sentiment, so have a look through your stash and see what you've got as a big one. And then this is going to go on top, and I'm going to, I've stamped it in cherry cobbler, because this is cherry cobbler, that's cherry cobbler, that's got bits of cherry cobbler in. The green and the gold are just to make it a little bit, you know, add a little bit of something in there. So that's going to go across on the centre, and I'm going to put that up with dimensionals. Now these are my dimensionals that are that I was given, so I'm making the most of these, and we're just going to put these across on the back. So just put yourself some dimensionals. I tend to always put my corners in first, and down the side. And then because we don't want it to sag in the middle, I can put one in between each one of these. Okay, and the reason we're doing that is because we want to pop little things in behind. So, did that one come off? It did, didn't it? I think it was about there. So we want to, as I say, this card is all about layers, but again I'm trying to do things that are fairly simple, easy for anybody to achieve, and something that you can, you know, look through your stash, see what you've got, and do a really pretty fancy card, but with what you've already got. So this is going to come down, and I want it to just be in on the center here, about like that. Okay, so then what I've done is I've already done those. I've told you about the 2 punches. So we've got the bow punch, which is in the current catalogue, and this is the sprig punch, which I think everybody probably has because it was such a lovely punch. So all I've done is on the tiny little scraps that I had over when I cut these bits, and we are talking, I'll show you, we're talking literally just little pieces like that I had. I haven't got a lot. So I've punched them out in the colours that we've used. So I've got some white, I've got some gold. I'm going to put them in together, and I've mixed them in. That's gold, and that's gold, that's green, red, whoops, that's another gold one. And I literally did what I could out of the paper. So, you know, we haven't got a lot. These were literally just out of the tiny bits that were over. Excuse me. So that's white. So I've used all of, excuse me, I've used all of the colours bar this because I didn't have any more of it. But I think picking up those, that's going to be fine. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that I am not putting this one in on here, so I can coordinate it and put them on the other side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to just put a little bit of glue in on the bottom part of it. I'm going to keep the other bit so that it can stick out a bit. Okay, so I'm going to put that in like that, and then I'm just going to have that so that it sticks up a bit. I think I'm going to have a bit of gold in there. So again, I'm doing it fairly randomly. I'm not putting it out because sometimes when you want leaves and things to just sort of go across, you don't necessarily want a lot of the same. You don't want it too uniform. So I find if I literally just put some pieces in like this. Okay, now we need to have, we'll have green on here. So I'm just putting these bits in. So that can then come in on here. Make sure I can tuck it in underneath. There we go. Tuck it out that way. And so we want a bit of white again. Let's have this leaf. Like that. And another little bit of gold. I've got a little leafy bit. Or yeah, let's have one of these. That can go in the front. Now you can always die cut leaves. Use whatever leaves you have. You know, they don't have to be specifically Christmassy. It's quite nice if they are, but they don't have to be. I think I'm going to put that one in there. But just sort of build it up a bit. And by not gluing it too far down, it does mean you've got a little bit of sort of shape and stuff coming in on here. Let's put this one in here on the middle. See if I can just tuck that one in like that. There we go. Okay, so now I want to do some down at the bottom, so I'm going to turn it over and then I can do it without thinking of top to bottom. So this is going to be the red one in like that. I can have a little bit of gold. that. See if I can get that in on the centre. There we go. And then we want a bit of green in on this one. So as I say, you're making a special card, but just doing it with the bits you've got. So this has got to come in on here. Whoops. And we've got some more of this red one, so I'm going to put another bit down in on here. I think I need to do a white one, don't I? Let's pop that one in on here. Gold in on here. So I'm just using everything I've got, and then I will probably just do a couple of little white ones to just back it with. So that can go in like that. It's a nice little green one. Him in on there. And what's this? It's another gold, isn't it? Gold in the middle. Like that. And then I need 3 whites. So have I got a... I did have a little bag with these pieces in. What did I do with it? It's here, isn't it? Oh, it says me throwing it all over the place. Right, I've just got, here we are, there's a little scrap. There's another little scrap. You can see with this paper, that's literally all I had left. So you can see I've used lots of it, and I've got these little tiny pieces here. So all I need to do is to take, and I think I want these ones. I've got quite a few of the scallopy type ones. So let's take one of these in white. Like that. And we'll pop, whoops, one of these in on here. And I'm going to tuck it in. Just make sure that it goes in underneath, which it does. Whoops. Pop that one in like that. And then I'm going to have this little one in. Come on. There we go. Put this one in there. Like that. And I just need one other white one up in on there. I think I'm going to have the spriggy one because I quite like the way the sprig comes. So let's just do one last one like this. And then that can just tuck in on here. Turn it the right way around then. But I always find if you turn it round, you can then see things from just a slightly different angle on there. Okay, so if I turn that round now, you can see how that's working beautifully. Now we've got some little spaces here and some little spaces there, and you know, you can do the less is more, but it's a Christmas card and we're doing it special. So I'm going to take my, oops, I'm trying to get them out. Okay, I'm taking my little pot of twinklies in, and let me see what I can put in here, because I want a row of 3 and a row of 3. So I want something that's quite sparkly. So let me have a look and see what I've got that's quite sparkly. Now I could put white, might work quite nicely. I could put these ones, they're really sparkly, but I do tend to like them. I hold those on because they're great for the centre of flowers. And I know we don't have them anymore, which is why I hold on to them, because then I like the way they're working. These are quite nice, totally different colours. That sort of green is quite pretty, isn't it? Sort of a lime green, but that might actually work. And the only other ones I'm looking for are, which most people have got, those which are just rhinestones, or what have I got? These, which we've got quite a few of, and these are the champagne rhinestones. But I'm actually going to use, because I'm using up what I've got, and although this is a different green, I think that it'll work quite nicely. So I'm going to take, I've only got the small ones and we want 3s. So I'm going to have 1, 2, come on, let's put this on here. I've been doing some felting and I've got my scissors, I've got felting bits on, so they're not sticking to it at the moment. It doesn't want to stick to it at all, does it? Right, put that one there. Okay, so we've got 3 there. And again, I turn it round so I can see, to make sure that I get them as level as I can. I'm not the greatest at getting things level, but we can try and get it as level as we can. So we're going to have 1 there. Oops, upside down. Do need to get myself some tweezers. I know I keep hearing you shouting at me, get yourself some tweezers. And I really should. I think I've got some somewhere, but I don't ever tend to use them, which isn't very good, is it? Now, is that the same sort of distance? Yes, about. And we'll get the last one, and that's going to go about there, I think. Like that. Okay, so we can turn it back up that way. So we've got 3 gems at the top, 3 gems at the bottom. I could put some round there, but I think it is, as one of my subscribers turned around and said to me the other end, step away from the card. And it's very true. We have to say when is enough. But you can see it's made a really rather lovely fancy card. I'm not going to show you what to do inside. Put whatever you want inside, but it's really rather nice. It's nice and twinkly and sparkly, and it's a special card for somebody. So thank you so much for watching me. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.